Hey everyone, Philip-Neri Performance Coach. Okay, today's video is going to talk about the difference between elite level athletes, so your top 1%, top 2% of your sport at whatever level you play at, and everybody else on the team, everyone else on the team. So an analogy I want you to use is a movie or a TV show, okay? In a movie, there's typically one or two stars in that movie. Then there's everybody else in that movie. Okay. It is no different in an athletic environment. There's a few stars and then there's everybody else on that team. Now, here's the greatest thing I need you to realize. They have to work synergistically to get the best end result. But sometimes when you're in that supporting role, that's where your career is going to take you. Again, whether you're in high school, whether you're in college, whether you're in the pros, that's going to be the top level that you're going to be. You won't ever reach that 1 or 2% kind of thing because there's some innate abilities there and there's gifts, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that doesn't diminish your value on the team as an athlete. Only you diminish your value in your own head when you start thinking and talking garbage. Like, oh, I'm not as good as so-and-so, or oh, the coach doesn't like me as so-and-so. And that's not okay. So for the majority of you athletes that are in the supporting role, and again, you could think of professional football or football at any level, right? The offensive line never gets any credit for protecting the quarterback. The quarterback is the star, correct? But if the offensive line doesn't do their job, how good is that quarterback? They're not very good, okay? So what I want you to think about is also you can think about Pippen and Jordan. You had Jordan, you had Pippen. But without Pippen, would Jordan have been Jordan? And that's not taking anything away from Jordan, but Pippen assisted Jordan in being great. Okay. So if you're one of those athletes that doesn't fall into that 1 to 2% of the top, you still have a responsibility to be the best you can be and be the best teammate you can be and assist in letting that superstar shine. Don't hate them for being a superstar. Assist them in allowing them to shine. And what I promise you will happen is there are people in the world, there are scouts, there are recruiters that will recognize that. And they will recognize what your contribution to the team is and how well you conduct yourself. So that is something that I'm very committed to helping kids and other athletes at any other level, because it's important, because that's where 98% of the world lies, is in that subdomain category. Now, you 1 or 2% that are superstars, good for you. I'm happy for you. You should get recognized. You should get the awards. You should get those huge contracts. I'm rooting for you. But here's what I want to tell you about the world and life. At some point, you will no longer be a superstar, right? You could be great in high school and you go to a big D1 program. Guess what? Everyone's good. And you're like, oh, Lord, these guys are big, they're strong, they're fast, whatever the case may be. Yep, you might no longer be a superstar. Every time you jump a level, you might no longer be a superstar. So if you have been fortunate enough to have a lot of people in your corner helping you along that journey while you were a superstar, and let's face it, some couldn't afford cleats, couldn't afford to play sport, things were tough at home life, and there were people looking out for you and they made things happen. Academically, there was people looking out for you academically with tutors and just making sure you got the grades so you were eligible because you were a superstar that maybe they didn't afford someone else. Okay, my question to you is, at some point that runs out. At some point in your playing level, it'll run out. Or for the very, very, very elite, what happens when you're done playing? And now you want to open some businesses, or you want to open a restaurant or a bar or whatever, you want to go on a speaking tour. Well, all of a sudden you're no longer a superstar. Yes, you have celebrity status, but you're no longer a superstar in that new industry. Now you're competing against superstars that do have billion-dollar restaurants, billion-dollar bars, billion-dollar incomes from speaking tours and things of that nature. And okay, so you played in the NFL, you played in the NBA, people loved you, you were a role model, you were a celebrity. That's great. But what about the mental game of now competing on a different playing field? Who is going to help you stay focused and ground it, because that's what it's going to take. You're going to have to ground yourself because you're no longer a superstar. You're going to have to be willing to be a student again. You have to be willing to grind again to get to that even level playing field. So that's where I can help both level of athletes, you superstars and everybody else. Philip-Neri, the performance coach.